All right. All right, all right, all right. Wow, we already got people on? What up, everybody? What's up, Bill Tipton? What up, SML? What up, Emanuela? What do you think about Trump's proposed ban on hot dogs? I don't think that's real, Mr. Tipton. I think you're pulling our leg. What's up, Flip? Hey, Flip, haven't seen you in here for a very long time. SML, we're doing pretty great. We're doing pretty great, actually. Thank you for asking. How are you? Hey, hi. How are you? Eurovision Song Contest, big of the United States. Will I be watching this Saturday? Sammy from Sweden. Maybe we will watch because you told us to, Sammy. Thanks for the reminder. Totally would have forgotten here. How's the foot? I tried to do kettlebells today. Not a great idea. But I'm just going stir crazy. So I don't know what to do. The navicular, maybe it's fusing back together. Maybe it's not. But thank you for asking. Andrew, hi. Jeannie? Janini? Janine. Is it just Janine? Hello from New York. How are you? Max, how's it going? Robbie's back on the Ronin. Tony, hello. Bill, hello. Is on Peacock. Oh, even better. Yes, I will definitely watch because guess what? I have a subscription. New York. There's a lot of New Yorkers in the house today. Welcome. Let's see. Hold on real fast. Just got to finish up some of these scripts here, but I think everything is good to go. Okay, there we go. What's up, Rosario? Hey, Rosario, do you know a guy by the name of, what's the guy from Puerto Rico who's always here? Ministro. What is it? Anyway, there's a guy named Ministro that's always in here as well. Billy, hello. Chiron, hello. The Irish Island. Twitch, hello. How's it going? Never forget that raid. It was the best raid of my life. I'm watching my high school graduation on my TV. You're in 9th grade? Wait, what? No way. SML, you're in 9th grade? A freshman? Will I be covering the World Cup football this summer? Hopefully. I'm hoping they send me some pretty cool games. Haven't got the emails yet. If anybody's watching that has that access, let's go. Let's see. Suzanne, hi. How are you? Hi. Wait, okay, so we got Twitch right now is going real strong. TikTok, something's broken. TikTok, I don't know what's been going on TikTok recently, but some shenanigans. I don't know if we got flagged or what, but they are just not appreciating the news content. So we'll see if that changes today. Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. Usually TikTok is pretty big. Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. It's like 9. Interesting. But James is here representing. Yes, Monkey Beast SML. Sounds like he's a freshman. Suzanne, the foot. Well, I can feel my toes. I can walk all the way to the comm, which, by the way, I saw a big movie star today. Can't tell you who it was because he might be working on a secret project around here. But it was one of those things where, look, when you're walking around on the Universal lot, like you will see like movie stars that just stop you in your tracks because you think you know them and you're like, and then you just continue to walk and eat your beet salad. That's what I did. But it was pretty cool, and he's a lot bigger than I thought he was. In person, he's huge. He's also like in his 70s. Massive, way better shape than I am. Could like take me and break me limb from limb. Pretty wild. James, thank you so much. Mod. We're trying to we don't do too much modding because I'm a big believer in hearing what you guys have to say, even when it's spammy. As long as it's not the same thing like 5 times in a row, you could do it maybe 3 or 4 times occasionally. 5 times is a limit. Also, it has to make sense. If it's nonsense, scram. Footprints, I hear ya. Michael, Ellison Barber, have you heard her new podcast? It is so good, allegedly. It's amazing. What's on the rundown for tonight's show? You guys want to jump straight into the news, don't ya? In 8 minutes, we are going to be launching into Stay Tuned Now for a full hour. Should we start backwards and go forward so we're like optimistic about, where things are headed and then to where we are today? Or should we just start with today and then go forward? You tell me. Any remedy for a crink in the neck? Okay, ready? Let's do it. Oh, did the mic pick that one up? Let's see. Oh, now that one's not going to pop. Oh, you know what? Now, when you see me like this the whole show, it's because I was trying to help Flip with my self-chiropractic. I don't know what the word is, but you know what I'm talking about. She is on Netflix, and it's great. Benjamin Button it. Somebody is. Let's see. Podcast. Yeah, she's got a podcast on Netflix. It's kind of like a podcast, true crime show, video podcast, if you will. It's awesome. Let's see. Start from the end. Yes, thank you, Bill. All right. So we're going to do from the end to the beginning. Ready? Blue Origin, we finally got some mock-ups. I had been hearing rumors that Houston had a mock-up of the Blue Origin HLS, Human Landing System, for whatever digs they're going to be in when they land on the moon, right? We finally got a sneak peek at them. We also got like a good representation of the HLS from Blue Origin next to Starship. Very big size difference there. So we're going to be talking about that. We are going to be talking to an astronaut, in fact, a 5 times commander of the space shuttle missions. And I'm very, very excited to introduce you to him. And then we are going to go into the robot revolution, all the crazy stuff that we're seeing out of China. Tom Yamas is playing soccer with a robot. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'm very jealous. Looks like the robot had a rough time starting off, but kind of got his footing. And then we are going to continue on through. Unfortunately, there were a few plane crashes today, some rescues. There was a woman who, has this very disturbing video of a guy coming up to her front door, or maybe her back door. She says that he's wearing, it looks like a hazmat suit. And then her dog lets her know that somebody's at the door. So she opens the door, or something happens at the door. He grabs her by the throat. She calls 911, and he ends up taking off, and she's able to escape. But fortunately, she's okay. They're still looking for the guy. Then we get into the hard news. 5 minutes of this show. We got Sean letting us know, hey, be careful. You got 5 minutes. That's Sean right there in the middle. The man in the middle is Sean. He is our captain of the control room ship over there in New York. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Cuba. All right, so Cuba, protests continue there. They're saying that they are pretty much out of gas. They're out of fuel. They're out of diesel. And I believe the head of the CIA is down there meeting with some Cuban officials. So we'll see what comes of that. Tom Yamas also talked to Marco Rubio about what's going on there. Then we're going to jump into whatever's going on in Beijing. Right now in Beijing, we've got this bilateral meeting between the 2 world superpowers. And yesterday, which is kind of today, kind of yesterday, depends on the time zone, President Xi and President Trump met, and then they had some readouts. They were like, okay, we definitely both agree that yes, the Strait of Hormuz should be open, and yes, we want to work together, we want to cooperate, we want to have a good economic relations. But China said that Xi made a warning about Taiwan, which they see as being part of China. And that was in their readout. Guess what was not in the US readout? Any mention of Taiwan. So is that just us being journalists, being like, oh, what does this mean? What does that mean? Yeah, probably. But it is significant, especially to all the people that live in Taiwan. and all the people that depend on the global supply chain as it is right now. So we are going to be delving into that. What else am I missing? The OpenAI, like, crazy trial of the century, where you've got, I've lost track of how many billionaires have been testifying. We're going to be covering that as well. Stay tuned, live from the moon. I hope. I really, really hope. Flip, yeah, we're keeping an eye on that for sure. Jesse, thank you for your thought there. Astoria, I got pulled in by science. Aww. We are going to try to do as much science as humanly possible, no matter how many times people may roll their eyes about how unhinged we become anytime space is mentioned. Yeah, Suzanne, don't. Yes, good. I'm glad. That makes me, yes, that's how all people should be. You are very, very smart. Mulaney, where else is it streaming? Right now, we're streaming on Twitch, we're streaming on TikTok, we're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on every single TV around. It's just that most TVs, they don't have this special little portal that we have here. Most TVs, you can't type and you can't ask questions and you can't talk about what's happening in the news with us. You guys have found the secret back door, so friends only. Let's see, Drake's new album, your top story tonight, username 00294. No, I need to listen to it. Stay mooned. Yes, that's a great idea for a great show. You know, that might be the Christmas present the team gets this year. Let's see, 2 minutes, have a great show. It's 2 minutes? No, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds before the show starts. We're starting from here to here? B to G. Okay, cool. B to G. Ever thought about doing your own podcast live streams to share your own thoughts and opinions, Flip? Yeah, be very easy. You ready? Here's how long it is. I have all the thoughts and I have all the opinions. And I try to hold them all in my head, and then they just short circuit me, and then that's it. There's no like hardcore hard take here. I want to try to be like a very wide angle kind of journalist. I got you. Can you hear me? All right, here we go.
All right, starting at position B.
Starting at position B. You know who's in the house.
What's up, chat?
Yup.
What? Yeah, I'll go.
Good to go. We got our spinach and we're ready to go. All right. I might need to reset this. Give me 2 seconds here.
30 away.
Technical difficulties. There we go. Bump, bump, bump. 30 seconds away. Cool. Optimist. Yes, Flip. That's exactly what it is. An optimist struggling to stay optimistic in this news world. Story of our lives. But you guys are here now, too. 10 seconds. Here we go, chat. Have a good show, everybody. Hey there, I'm Gotti Schwartz, and tonight we start with that high-stakes summit between the world's largest superpowers happening right now in Beijing. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping are gearing up for the second day of talks in just a couple of hours, but there's already a lot to unpack from day one. It started with all the full pomp, the full circumstance. China literally rolling out the red carpet for President Trump in this huge, elaborate welcome ceremony. Then came the meeting. Both presidents met for a little over 2 hours, and afterwards both sides painted different pictures about what they actually talked about, each country releasing their own readout on the talks. And on the Chinese side, after all the flags and the flattery, came a very blunt warning, apparently about Taiwan, saying any mishandling of the island would cause clashes and even conflicts, putting the entire relationship in great jeopardy. The two sides agreed, though, that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open. However, the White House's readout, there was no mention of Taiwan. Instead, it was really that focus on the free flow of energy from the Strait of Hormuz. But in front of the cameras, both leaders finished the day with warm smiles, public praise for one another. President Xi calling China and the U.S.'s relationship the most important in the world. And Trump then saying this.
We had extremely positive and productive conversations and meetings today. with the Chinese delegation. This bond of commerce and respect that stretches back 250 years is the foundation for a future that benefits both of our nations.
Well, let's bring in NBC's Gabe Gutierrez, who is out in Beijing for us tonight. Gabe, lots to talk about, but first let's talk about this tale of the two readouts here, particularly with China's warning about Taiwan. If that's what was said in writing, how do you think those discussions went?
Well, Gotti, look, the Chinese Foreign Ministry actually put out that readout, that description of what happens behind closed doors. It actually put that out while the meeting was still ongoing. This was about a 2-hour, 15-minute closed-door meeting between President Trump and President Xi, and the Chinese Foreign Ministry got out ahead of it while it was still ongoing and said, and laid it out as you did, that basically China feels that Taiwan is the most important issue in U.S.-China relations. Now, to explain that, of course, the U.S. has no formal diplomatic relationship with Taiwan, but it is seen as its biggest international backer as well as an arms supplier. The fact that China chose to make this the #1 issue really speaks volumes about the importance of Taiwan going forward, and China could be trying to lay the groundwork moving forward for perhaps taking military action in Taiwan. At least that's what many political observers and analysts are looking at right now. We should point out, Gotti, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, shortly after that meeting concluded, spoke with our colleague Tom Llamas, and he reiterated the U.S. position will remain unchanged when it comes to Taiwan, but this is clearly what the Chinese wanted to emphasize.
Yeah, one of their opening moves here. And let's talk a little bit about Iran, because so much of that is looming over all of this. How could we see China step in, if they do step in at all?
Well, look, that is a major question moving forward. If you listen to President Trump and the Trump administration, they argue that they're trying to highlight areas of cooperation or agreement between the U.S. and Iran. Between the U.S. and China when it comes to Iran. President Trump even saying that President Xi agreed not to give weapons, not to provide weapons for Iran, although we don't have confirmation on that yet from the Chinese. And we also have some other NBC News reporting, according to two people familiar with the matter, that Chinese state-run companies have actually been talking with Iranian officials to perhaps secretly sell them weapons through third-party countries to conceal their origin. Now, President Trump did speak with Fox News about what he told Xi about Iran. Let's listen to that.
President Xi would like to see a deal made. He would like to see a deal made. And he did offer, he said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help. Because,
he did say that.
Yeah, he did say that.
Now, Gotti, a major question will be exactly what President Xi will do. Will he lean on Iran to come back to the negotiating table and try to end this war? Secretary of State Rubio, as I mentioned, spoke with our Tom Llamas as well, speaking about what he took out of the meeting and the conversation about Iran. Let's listen to that.
Can you help me understand what exactly did President Trump ask President Xi for when it comes to Iran?
He didn't ask him for anything. I mean, we're not asking for China's help. We don't need their help.
But he raises the issue.
We raise the issue to make clear what our position is.
So certainly, Gotti, the Trump administration trying to walk that really fine line, making the point, you heard Secretary Rubio try to argue that the U.S. doesn't need China to get involved, and yet it is raising it as a significant issue during the first day of the talk. So we'll have to see how this plays out, and we'll have to see what President Xi ends up doing moving forward in the Iran war.
And we also know that trade is a huge topic for this summit. We know a lot of tech titans are out there, but how big of a role are they actually expected to play? I mean, we've seen some people taking pictures with people like Elon Musk during state dinners, but are they at negotiating tables here?
Yeah, it's actually remarkable. Elon Musk, by the way, according to our own Janice Mackey-Frayer, he brought his young son, X, on this trip. It was quite remarkable to see all these tech titans, more than a dozen of them, not just Elon Musk, but NVIDIA's CEO, Apple's Tim Cook, Boeing's CEO. And by the way, Gadi, that is very important. Boeing seems to be at the center of what the president hopes to announce later today. He's already teased it a little bit, saying that China has agreed to purchase some 200 Boeing jets. Still, though, there are a lot of questions about when that actually will materialize, if it's officially announced, because last year during a Middle East visit, the president, he went to the Middle East. A Saudi Arabian firm actually committed to buy 30 jets, but those aren't expected really until 2032, well after President Trump is out of office. And Boeing has a backlog of more than 6,000 unfilled orders. These jets take a long time to build. Only 200 or so have been delivered this year, so we may not see the economic benefits of this for quite some time. But the White House is trying to make the argument that President Trump is focused on the American worker and building back American manufacturing time. Excuse me, got it.
Thanks so much, Gabe Gutierrez. We'll see you soon. And joining us now for more is Johnson. He is Michael H. Armel Coast, Chair of Foreign Policy Studies at the Brookings Institutions. Thanks so much for joining us. So when we're looking at these negotiations, who has the upper hand in these meetings? Is the Iran war at all weakening Washington's strategic edge against Beijing?
Yeah, I mean, the president, of course, has the advantage that he is representing the incumbent superpower, right? And we still have global reach and we still have a formidable economy and military, right? But he does have a couple of really significant drag factors. He has the Iran war that he's dealing with. He has a number of, metaphorical and actual fires that he's dealing with around the globe. And he's also got the fallout from the Iran war on the home front, which is driving up inflation and weakening the president's political position at home in a midterm election year, which the Chinese side is very cognizant of. Right. And I think China has really two big advantages coming into this meeting. Number one is just the mere fact that this meeting is happening on China's home turf. They are meticulous planners for these kind of meetings. And so they have, finely tuned every bit of stagecraft that has gone into this. And I think the other thing that they have going for them is that China doesn't really have an affirmative objective in this meeting. What they are really looking for primarily, and what's animating their diplomacy with the United States right now, is that they see this as a competitive relationship, and they are trying to buy as much time and space as possible so that they can fortify themselves for the next round of the contest with the United States. And that's unlike the Trump administration, which does have a list of things that it does want from China.
Is that opening salvo, again, it looked like everything was being, cordially handled, and there's stagecraft and then there's statecraft. There was the mention of Taiwan and not mentioned in the readout from the White House. Is that something that China wants here, or is that something that they're throwing out there to try to throw maybe the president or the United States off their game?
No, I think it's been pretty clear that they want to mention Taiwan for a few different reasons. I think they sincerely see this as being a top priority issue. Number two, I think they were unhappy from the last meeting when the two leaders met at Busan back in the fall, that there was press reporting indicating that this issue did not come up. And I think the Chinese side wants to be very clear about their position on the Taiwan issue. And then number three, right after the two leaders met in Busan at the end of last year, the Trump administration announced really a historic arms package, an arms sale to Taiwan totaling $10 billion, which I think is the largest ever from the U.S. side. And the Chinese were very displeased about that. So I think a lot of the emphasis is really on foreclosing that possibility for after the summit, because it would cause Xi Jinping to lose face, of course, if they have this very cordial meeting. And then there's another large arms sale package immediately after that.
And, this might be pretty far afield here, but there are those that say that right now the United States is looking for maybe an off-ramp in Iran, and Iran is looking for an off-ramp in the conflict. And now they find themselves in China. Could China somehow provide an off-ramp in the conflict that we're seeing right now in the Middle East?
There is the potential for that, right? China is very important to Iran. I think they purchased something like 90% of Iran's oil ever since the Trump administration in its first term launched the maximum pressure campaign against Iran. And it's a very imbalanced relationship, right? China is far more important to Iran than Iran is to China. But I think it's a latent potential. I think we've seen this movie before, right, where there are global hotspots going back to North Korea, which is right on China's doorstep, where they are very fitfully willing to do anything constructive on that issue. Or if you look at the leverage that they potentially have over Russia in its war against Ukraine. So I think it's going to be very challenging to get the Chinese side to really bestir themselves to do anything meaningful to bring this conflict to a resolution. They don't like this conflict. They've said as much. But whether or not they're going to exercise any real leverage to do it, I think it's going to be challenging. And if they do it, right, I think, going back to those comments from Secretary Rubio, one, I think they will only do something that the U.S. specifically asked for. And if the U.S. does make an ask, and I think from Secretary Rubio comment, it suggests they're cognizant of this, there's going to be a request from the Chinese side for a concession on a related issue or on another issue, right? There will be a price tag associated with that.
And John, the backdrop, the actual people backdrop of a lot of these pictures that we're seeing is the titans of tech of the United States there. Are they there kind of as this flex of technological muscle, or is this really about, I don't know, maybe working on some sort of deal with chips? Because, I mean, we're looking at the head of NVIDIA there, and so much of the conflict that we see in the 21st century really has to do with the lack of access that China has to the chips that man makes, right?
Yeah. So, I think the fact that we even need to ask the question shows how much ambiguity there is about this. I think it's certainly possible that the administration wanted to position this as a flex to show the might of our economy and our technological prowess. But I worry that from the Chinese perspective, bringing such a large business delegation with President Trump making comments about opening up China's market, and given the emphasis from the Trump administration on commercial ties, that the Chinese will hear that the U.S. side wants to do business, and that is really the primary concern animating the U.S. side at this point. I mean, just looking at the optics from this trip, you're right, to have a gaggle of CEOs like this feels like a throwback, and it looks like a throwback to the era before we were focused on seeing China as a great power rival. This feels like the optics from, either the Clinton administration back in the 1990s or the George W. Bush administration, right? This does not look like how you necessarily engage with your chief geopolitical foe by showing up with a bunch of businessmen and signaling very loudly and clearly that you want to do business.
Yeah, a throwback to those times with a sprinkling in of selfies. John Zinn, thank you so much for your insight. And turning now to Cuba, where protests have broken out across the capital city of Havana. Angry crowds took to the streets last night. They were burning trash, banging on pots, and shouting for electricity. This comes as Cuba's energy minister says the country has completely run out of oil and diesel. Cuba has faced worsening blackouts since the United States blockade, which has effectively prevented oil shipments to the island since January. And yesterday, the State Department reiterated its offer to provide humanitarian aid in exchange for political reform. Today, we can confirm CIA Director John Radcliffe visited the island to meet with officials in Havana. So is this more of that pressure campaign against Cuba's communist government? Our Tom Yamas sat down with Secretary of State Marco Rubio to talk U.S.-Cuba relations. Take a listen.
The State Department just re-upped the offer of $100 million in aid to Cuba. Cuba's foreign minister says that's an absolute lie, that there is no money coming. Are there any strings attached to that $100 million in aid?
The only strings attached is that they have to be distributed by non-governmental sources like the Catholic Church. I was at the Vatican last week. I spoke to the Catholic Church again. They're willing to play that role.
So what's the holdup? Cuba's lying?
Cuba, they're their holdup. They're lying. They lie all the time. I mean, how can he say it's not a real offer? We've made it to them privately. We're not making it public. There's $100 million. By the way, we've given them humanitarian aid. After the hurricane, we provided them $6 million of humanitarian aid, $3 million of which was distributed, $3 million of which is still being held up, but is available for them. Now we're saying here's $100 million of humanitarian aid. So I don't know if they watch your broadcast in Cuba, but if they are, the Cuban people should know there's $100 million of food and medicine available for them right now, and the only reason it's not reaching the Cuban people is because of the regime.
No strings attached.
The only string attached is it has to be distributed by I don't want non-governmental organizations.
Yeah.
This can't be humanitarian aid that the government steals for itself.
In a year, will someone named Diaz-Canel or Castro be in charge in Cuba?
I don't know. I hope not, because if they are, then Cuba will probably not have progressed.
But is there still a plan for changing Cuba?
Sure. I mean, look, the change in Cuba is their economy doesn't function. It's not a functional economy.
No, I get that, but what is the U.S. plan? Though? I'm trying to understand the U.S. plan.
Well, I wouldn't tell you exactly what our plan is, because I don't want them to know what our plan is. But our plan for Cuba is a prosperous future. That's what we want. It's in our national interest. And to have a prosperous Cuba, not to have a failed state 90 miles from our shores. So how do you have a prosperous state where people can succeed? Understand Cubans. You know this. You understand this as well as I do because of where we come from. Cubans are successful everywhere in the world except one place, Cuba. And so that's what we want. We want Cubans not to have to leave that island in order to be successful. But they can't, because the current model they have it's not just it's broken. It doesn't work, and it'll never change as long as the people that are there now are running it. They are closed-minded, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. I would love for them to come to their senses and say, okay, we recognize this really has to change, and it has to change big. But right now, they don't seem to be indicating that. They seem to be digging in.
Fascinating conversation. Tom Yamas, thank you. And here in California, the fate of one of the world's most consequential AI companies will soon be in the hands of a jury. Will Elon Musk be successful in his legal battle to remove Sam Altman from OpenAI and stop it from operating as a for-profit company? Or could the jury side with the other billionaires that took the stand? It's a lawsuit that is already rewriting the history of how AI came to be. And remember, Elon Musk is alleging that Altman and OpenAI's board members were stealing from a charity, arguing the company abandoned its original nonprofit mission when it shifted toward a for-profit structure. And throughout this trial, the burden of proving that to the jury has been on Musk's lawyers. Closing arguments started today with Musk's lawyers apologizing for their client being in China with the president instead of in court, saying, quote, he's sorry that he could not be here, but I think you saw from his testimony that there is something that he's passionate about. Musk is part of a CEO entourage traveling with Trump that we just saw. Even though the judge told him he was not excused from the trial, he went on that trip. Meanwhile, Altman looked on as OpenAI's lawyers doubled down on what they've argued this entire trial, saying Mr. Musk wanted to turn OpenAI into a for-profit company that he could control. Elon Musk is seeking over $130 billion in damages that he says he'd donate back to OpenAI's nonprofit. I know, it gets very confusing. Let's bring in David Ingram, who has been following all of this from inside the courtroom. David, one of the biggest themes from both sides has been trying to paint Musk and then trying to paint Altman as liars here. What are going to be the biggest hits to credibility that you think are going to stick out to the jury when they're deliberating?
Yeah, Gotti, today was the last chance for the lawyers to get in their little digs to the other side during closing statements. And we saw both sides trying to both attack the other side and be on defense a little bit. I think for Altman, his credibility questions really center around testimony from other witnesses in the case who have called him either a liar or something close to a liar. That includes former board members of OpenAI and other people who have worked with him. And his lawyers tried to rebut that and said that yes, maybe Altman had said different things to different people at different times, but that he was a fundamentally honest person. I think for Musk, the credibility questions really come down to how much did he really believe in OpenAI being a nonprofit? His story here is that going back to 2015, he wanted this organization to always remain a nonprofit. And there's evidence going back, through 2017, 2018, where Musk was lobbying for OpenAI to pivot to a for-profit model or even get acquired by Tesla. So both sides have their credibility questions that they've been battling here.
So what else stood out to you from closing arguments that you've heard so far?
Yeah, a couple things. One of the big things that really stuck out today was statute of limitations questions. So we're all familiar with this from procedural TV shows, but the civil claims here have a statute of limitations of either 2 or 3 years. And the question is really, did Musk file this lawsuit too late? Could he have filed it years ago and he waited until, for whatever reason, well, he started a competitor in 2023? If he knew that the conduct at issue here was something that he objected to and was misconduct, he could, and if he could have sued about it in, say, 2017, that's way too long ago, and he's going to lose with this jury on statute of limitations. So we saw a lot of focus from both sides on that question today, and then also just the reputation, offense and defense was nonstop today.
Do you think Musk being in China might end up hurting this case with the jury? I mean, he is the one that brought this entire case.
That's a fascinating question. You have to wonder what the jury is thinking when they see images, if they see images of Musk in China with the president just a few days after they've seen him testify in this case. I think it could go either way. If they see Musk on the world stage, speaking with world leaders and other business executives, that could give a little shine to Musk as a leader. But you could also imagine them seeing it as a snub. And I guess we might find out when the verdict comes as soon as next week.
Yeah, we're all watching for that. David Ingram, thank you so much. And tonight, in other legal news, a major new twist in the Alec Murdaugh case. His defense team is now speaking out and making a bold claim as they prepare to take that case back to court after South Carolina Supreme Court. They made that
information that's been provided to us
since the trial.
Since the trial.
Murdaugh's lawyers speaking exclusively with Craig Melvin on Today after that stunning decision from the South Carolina Supreme Court, tossing out the jury's verdict and ordering a new trial. And while state prosecutors have said they are weighing all options, Murdaugh will not take a plea.
No plea. You're not going to take a plea under any circumstances?
Under any circumstances. He will never plead. Never plead guilty. Killing his wife and son, I promise you. Never.
Murdaugh's case captivated the country as his 6-week trial unfolded in 2023, but the jury's unanimous guilty verdict now upended after the High Court found then Clerk of the Court Becky Hill tampered with the jury.
They were coached to not believe him.
Mandy Pierce, the juror who originally raised concerns about the clerk, not surprised the conviction was tossed out.
I feel like justice wasn't served, that he didn't get a fair trial.
Murdaugh has long maintained his innocence in the killings of his wife and son, while admitting to a laundry list of state and federal financial crimes, keeping him behind bars for decades. Still, the state saying it's ready to do it all over again.
It boils down to the obligations we have to the people of South Carolina and to the victims. They still require an answer. They still require justice, and that's our job.
As for what comes next here, the state has a couple options at its disposal. They can ask the court to reconsider their decision, essentially asking the state Supreme Court to take a second look at what they've done here, or they can ask the U.S. Supreme Court to weigh in. However, that's not an option that typically succeeds. Back to you.
Laura Jarrett, thank you. And tune in to Dateline tomorrow as they dig into what comes next for Murdaugh's retrial. You can catch it starting at 9 p.m. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, where things stand as dozens of people across the country are now being monitored for hantavirus with no positive case yet. Plus, surveillance cameras that track long lines so you don't get stuck waiting forever. Genius or privacy slippery slope? More on that later this hour, so stay tuned. And also, we're trying a little something different here. You see that QR code? Well, just whip out your phone and then put it on that QR code and then pop. You should be able to access our secret chat that we have going. You can chat with us all hour long. It takes you behind the scenes, streaming on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. Just don't tell too many people. Let us know what your thoughts are and swing by whenever you want. "90 seconds. All right, we got 90 seconds, guys. Hey, dude, schooled. I've been schooled by Twitch. TikTok, you guys didn't notice my faux pas. YouTube, I don't think you guys did either, but Twitch. You guys are so right, and I feel so dumb. It's NVIDIA. No, that's not correct. NVIDIA. The N is hard pronounced. NVIDIA, not NVIDIA. NVIDIA. I apologize. It's NVIDIA. That is totally right. It's just one of those things that, you hear it too many times one way, and then it sticks in your brain. But if you guys ever say that in conversation, NVIDIA, 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 NVIDIA. That's what it's called. My bad, everybody. But Twitch, shout out to all of you guys for calling us out on the pronunciation. What happens when you run very overtime? 30 seconds? 30 seconds. We got 30 seconds. I got to get back there. All right. We'll chat on the next one. Hold on. We're coming back in just a sec. 20 seconds. What else did I see in the chat? I can't remember. I was so blinded by just NVIDIA. Did you know? NVIDIA.
I think I'd say it wrong every time.
Amateur hour.
Five, four, three.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some of the headlines we are watching tonight. Police say 2 people were killed when their plane crashed into an Ohio home late this afternoon. Now, that house burst into flames, but nobody inside the home was hurt. The FAA and the NTSB are investigating. And a woman in Michigan says she fought off a masked intruder. Look at this video. They say that this was the intruder trying to break into her home. Her doorbell camera shows someone trying to get inside, and she says when she went outside to see what her dog was barking at, that's when he grabbed her by the neck. As she called 911, that suspect did get away. Police are now looking for him. And there's this new video of plane crash survivors being rescued off the coast of Florida. 11 survivors spent more than 5 hours in the Atlantic Ocean before they were rescued by the Coast Guard. Officials say their plane crashed Tuesday from engine failure. The FAA is investigating that. And the Supreme Court has decided that you can still get that abortion pill, mifepristone, by mail for now. Now, this ruling keeps mifepristone available while a lower court case in Louisiana is heard. The lawsuit is against the FDA for giving access to the drug by mail in states where abortion is banned. Today's ruling will keep access in place for telehealth, pharmacies, and mail access while the court battle plays out. And Border Patrol Chief Michael Banks announced his resignation during an interview on Fox News this afternoon. This comes during a whole lot of big leadership changes in immigration enforcement. Remember, ICE Director Todd Lyons is set to leave at the end of this month. And don't forget, President Trump removed DHS Secretary Kristi Noem back in March. And the hantavirus, it has now taken us to Kansas City, that area where 3 people with high-risk exposure are in the hospital for observation. According to the CDC, they are among the 41 people now being monitored across the United States. But there is a little bit of good news. As of right now, none of them have tested positive. And in Nebraska, the cruise ship passenger who previously tested positive, they got a negative PCR test within the last 24 hours. And as a result, he's being moved from the biocontainment unit into the quarantine area. Let's get out to correspondent Camila Bernal on the ground in Omaha for us. Camila, let's break down what's going on in Kansas. How did it get there? And were any of the people there showing symptoms?
So, Gotti, you mentioned high-risk exposure, and what the Kansas officials are saying is that there are 3 people that were in contact with someone that tested positive for the Andes virus. They did not specify whether or not they got moved to a hospital because of symptoms. We definitely asked that question, and they did not answer because of privacy reasons. But what Kansas officials are saying now is that there is no one in the state of Kansas that has tested positive for the Andes strain of the virus. So they are being observed at the hospital as we speak. And the direction from the CDC today was whether you're at a facility quarantining or being observed, they then say you should stay there. But if you are instead at home, so the people that got off the ship before we found out about the outbreak, or the people that have this contact or exposure, they're asking everybody and essentially telling people not to leave their homes and not to be around people. And we hadn't had sort of a clarity on that directive, but the CDC today saying that is the best option for all the people that have been exposed, and that is to essentially stay home or stay isolated to keep that risk low, as it is now, Gotti.
Meanwhile, in Nebraska, the kind of good news about that doctor who was previously tested and they were positive, and now it looks like they're negative. What does that tell us about the virus, and what's the latest with him?
Right. So really great news in that area as well. The CDC today saying there is no one in the United States that has tested positive for the Andes strain. And that includes that man who they had previously said had tested mildly positive. And I spoke to the medical director of the biocontainment unit today. And what she told me was he got 3 different tests performed here in the United States, 2 PCR tests, and then one that was sent back to the CDC came back. All of them are negative. So that is why he was transferred from the biocontainment unit to the quarantine unit. Here is what that medical director told me.
The PCR tests that we were able to do here on campus were the main determining factor because those are blood tests, and that's really showing that at this point in time, there's no detectable virus in the patient's blood. I do believe, based on the results now that we've received from the CDC, that initial test that he had was likely a false positive.
So false positive, that's what they're saying about that test that he took overseas. But she also mentioned there is still the possibility for him to develop symptoms because of that very long incubation period, which is why they still want him to remain in quarantine. She says that he's essentially settling in, that it's somewhat of a better situation for him because he's not so much in a hospital room now, it's more of a hotel room stay. And so they are going to continue to monitor him the way they're doing with everyone else here at the quarantine unit, Gotti.
Yeah, I hope time passes very fast for him. NBC's Camila Bernal. Camila, thank you. And coming up, controversy brewing as California's Attorney General accuses FIFA of misleading ticket prices for the World Cup. What we're learning there, coming up. 90 seconds. All right, 90 seconds. We don't have very much time. 90 seconds. Steve on set. Let's see. This is wild. You'd think that the Andes strain would be a problem where it comes from, causing all this chaos everywhere. I don't think it's, I'm hoping, I'm not wrong. I hope I'm right. I don't think it's that, I think they've got a pretty good handle on it. And I say that as a guy from New Mexico where hantavirus, the Andes strain is different, and obviously human-to-human transmission is concerning. But I trust the protocols on this stuff. Fingers crossed. Famous last words. Ooh, look at. Oh, I don't know, Steve. You know, chat was just blasting a leather jacket on TV, and I'm like, hey, you guys don't know. There's no dress code on this show, right?
Gotti is making us look bad now because he's starting to wear suit coats.
No, I'm not. It's a just bilateral meet. Look, there's no tie. If you guys start complaining about leather jackets, the next thing you know, I'm gonna have to dress up for this show. They actually let me wear a hoodie on this show a few times.
A hoodie, guys.
Don't ruin it for us.
It was
okay?
a hoodie.
Yes,
This is why I look like the way I look.
You
right?
look fantastic.
I thought it was cool.
You look super handsome
Thank
today,
you,
man.
I appreciate you. So do you. So do you.
20 seconds. All right.
Lay off us, guys.
Yeah, come on. We can wear whatever. This is.
right.
You think this is fancy? This is stretchy. This is one of those stretchy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, isn't it? Right? I can do like jumping jacks in this. Anyway, back to the news. 7 seconds. Here we go.
4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. We are now less than a month away from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And if you're here in California and you had some trouble with tickets and you were looking at some of these prices, you are not alone. The state's attorney general has written this letter to FIFA alleging its ticket mapping may be misleading fans, and that could be a violation of California law. Let's bring in Steve Patterson to talk a little bit more about this. So, Steve, like, what's wrong with the seat map in here? Is there a switcheroo going on?
Yeah, so that's what the attorney general is investigating, and there could, of course, be a penalty toward FIFA if he finds that they're violating California law, which is sort of the basis of his investigation, right? Sending a letter to FIFA to find out, hey, are you guys really messing with these people? And what people are alleging, and I'm so glad we have a visual aid because I've been talking about this all day. Big props to your producer, Zach, back there.
Oh, and I see some circles
Yes.
here. Okay,
So,
all right.
if you're looking at the left, right, and these tickets rolled out in phases, right? Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. A lot of people bought what they considered to be Category 1 tickets, which would be like the gold that you're seeing in both of those charts. So they're like, it's Phase 1. They're like, I'm a big fan. I want to buy a Category 1 ticket in one of those gold seats. The problem is, like, if you buy an American football ticket, you're like, all right, row H, seat 43.
Right.
I know where I'm sitting. For FIFA, when you buy a ticket, it's like you're in Category 1, so you're probably somewhere in that gold section. Come to find out in Phase 2 that some of those were actually red tickets. So what you're seeing circled is the gold disappearing and turning into red. So you paid a gold price for what ended up being a red ticket.
And you
a
probably
lot of people
wouldn't
are
have
mad.
even noticed. I mean, like
You may not have
You
noticed.
probably just took the hit, and you're like,
That's right.
okay, and I'm just gonna go to the game, and yeah,
That's right. And look, California has some very strict, consumer protection practices and laws in place. So that's why the AG is trying to find out, did they violate these laws? Are my constituents in trouble? Can I do anything for the people of California who feel cheated in some ways?
And speaking of tickets, asking for some mini friends, actually.
Sure.
Are tickets gonna go down here? Like, what's the price situation?
So there's a .com article, NBCnews.com, by the way, check it out. There's a report there, some of our reporters found that like 95% of all the matches right now are actually a little coming down in price on these resale, websites like StubHub, stuff like that. They found that like month over month, down 24%, week over week, down 8% from last week. So prices are looking a little bit better, but like coming down from what? Gotti, you're talking about like there are some reports that there's like a $10,000 ticket out there, $1,500, $5,000, $500. Like you're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, for what you thought was a premium ticket. And again, that's what's being
Dude, you're so good at this. I have to ask about the Olympics now. Like Olympic tickets. I feel like everybody's got a ticket guy.
Yeah.
You're my ticket guy. Like,
I'm the wrong guy to be the ticket guy, okay? Olympic tickets on sale. They just did Wave 1. Wave 2 is now starting to be on sale. Look, it's a wider range, and I think that's sort of the controversy, right? They promised 1 million of these $28 tickets for Angelinos, for Californians who want to see the games themselves. They said they sold about 500,000 of those, but then they go up to ridiculous prices. Of course, if you want to be at like the swimming finals, you're going to pay like $5,500, or maybe more, or opening ceremonies, or all of these different games. It all depends, and sort of that's the controversy. Also, the service fee, 24% no matter what. That's pretty steep.
I mean, you and I are just praying we get to cover them. We get to work there.
That's what I'm hoping.
I will be your photographer, man.
Love that.
Fingers crossed.
See you there, buddy.
Thanks so much, Steve. And coming up, the future of everything. China is leading the charge when it comes to robotics and AI tech. But is the U.S. that far behind? Depends on who you ask. We'll be right back.
Dude, I'll be wearing a leather jacket, chat. I'll be wearing a leather jacket.
Well, leather jacket next
That's
time.
your
You hear
bottom
that?
dollar.
You hear that, chat? We got to draw the line somewhere.
Right. We're drawing a line. Later.
You're the best, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. 24%. Yeah. I didn't say my ticket guy was the cheapest.
No.
But he's most accurate. I'll tell you that. Oh, man. Steve Patterson is the GOAT. The best. Lisa Marie, I'm lucky if he wears shoes. I have not worn Birkenstocks on this show for 3 years, okay? So let's just relax. Also, Los Angeles, it's different weather here. 1 minute over here.
About 40 back, yeah.
I will never not put a Steve Patterson Gotti hit in the show. You know it. Hoodies are for Fridays. Yes, they should. Can you do a poll on the show open? Yeah, J Place. Very good idea. What happens when you run very overtime? Yeah, when I stop listening to you and just keep asking questions. Also, thanks for that extra question on that one segment. Ha! Right? Accoutrements. That's such a great word. Hi. What's the label of the suit jacket?
10.
Stretchy McStretcherson. Nordstrom Rack.
5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. In tonight's Future of Everything, NBC's Tom Yamas takes us to a plant in Beijing where they are creating humanoid robots for everything from help with daily chores to maybe a friendly match of soccer. Tom?
Inside the ex-humanoid plant in Beijing, a new generation of robots is taking shape. Step by step, the robots are assembled, tested, and then programmed. They're big, bulky, ready to run or crawl through hazardous terrain.
It looks aggressive. It's marching. Should it be seen as something that is going to be maybe part of your military one day?
No, yeah, we don't want the robots to do that. Yeah, we want robots to help people.
The company says these robots will make living easier by helping humans and could even be used in emergency situations.
So when you talk about helping out in the house, give me some examples, like help watch the children, help maybe elderly residents, clean dishes. I mean, what is it going to do?
The elderly, maybe, because less and less people want to have kids nowadays.
It's clear there's still a lot of experimenting going on, including this silicone-like face on the humanoid head.
What is this?
It's a bionic face because, like, in the future, we want the robot have more, how to say, like temperature. So we want it like also look like human.
So you're going to put these faces, these heads on the robots?
Yeah, like in the future.
Ex-Humanoid says these robots are still 3 to 5 years from hitting the market. Most of the functions we saw were controlled by remote, but the goal is full autonomy.
There is a big gap between what they can do physically and what they can do autonomously. This is where they need the training data and they need the improvements in the AI.
But China is closing that gap with startling speed. At a recent half marathon pitting Chinese humanoids besides real-life runners, a robot named Lightning won the race, finishing in just 50 minutes and 26 seconds. A record-breaking pace, and a huge leap from last year's race, where many models could barely maintain their balance. Off the track, the technology is already being put to work in major cities. China has robots managing traffic at busy intersections. It's all part of an all-out sprint for tech dominance. Just like with EVs, solar panels, and cell phones, China is flooding the zone with more than 150 companies trying to outproduce the rest of the world. One part of the industry that is already bringing in cash: rent a robot. In China, these pint-sized humanoids are delivered straight to your door, like this soccer-playing robot we rented. A little rusty at first, but after a few face plants, this little guy finds his footing and he can kick around, even scoring some goals.
Tommy Yamas, thank you for that. Interesting story. But robots are just one part of the AI race between the United States and China, which is clearly heating up very quickly. Joining us now is Kyle Chan. He's a fellow at the Brookings Institute China Center. Thank you so much for being with us. We just saw that soccer match there. We just saw China's robots hard at work. Now, China has always had this very competitive advantage in cheap labor, but at scale, this type of cheap labor would be next level, like cheap, borderline, almost free labor in the grand scheme of things. What could this do to their manufacturing infrastructure?
Yeah, so I mean, they're already the factory for the world, making everything from smartphones to electric vehicles to ships. And what this could do is this could make them even more productive and more competitive. This could lower the cost of production. This could also help them address potential labor shortages with their shrinking workforce. So there is a whole host of opportunities here, but they're also trying to deal with some vulnerabilities.
Yeah, and there's robots that are teleoperated, and we don't know exactly who's behind the controls of some robots. And then there's robots that are autonomous, and so much of that is really reliant on chips and artificial intelligence. In this silent chip war that is still going on, what chips does China still not have access to, and how close are they in making their own next generation of chips?
Yeah, so due to U.S. export controls, China does not have access to the most cutting-edge chips from NVIDIA, like Blackwell's. And instead, they have access to watered-down versions and their own chips from companies like Huawei. And they're working really hard to boost their chip-making capabilities. They're still behind, and they're trying to catch up not just in the GPUs, but also in the high bandwidth memory and all the interconnected technology that goes along with it.
And just looking at like the different stacks and the different advantages that different forms of government have, big picture here, like how does China stack up against the United States with all the data advantage that comes with a top-down surveillance state like China? I mean, we've been doing reporting throughout the week. We've seen these super apps that can do everything. AI needs data, and it seems like data is so centralized in China. That would be such a boon to artificial intelligence systems.
Absolutely. Yeah, data is a really crucial layer, and they're trying to do sorts of creative things to create a marketplace for data so that there's an incentive to collect it, to clean it, and to sell it and use it for training. So that's really important. I mean, when you look across the broader AI stack, right, so there's chips, there's compute, there's energy too, and that's another area where China's really trying to forge ahead. They have one of the fastest energy buildouts in world history, and a lot of that's actually renewable energy.
Okay, and this is the quadrillion-dollar question, may be impossible to answer, but seeing what we're seeing out of this bilateral trade mission, do you think that there is enough of a common ground now with all the tech that we're using and the revolution that we're seeing with AI, with robotics, that the United States and China can find themselves on somewhat of a, not an equal playing field, but the same playing field in such that they actually get along and there is a free flow of a trade between the two countries?
Yeah, I mean, the ironic thing is that even in the face of geopolitical tensions between these two superpowers, it's the technology that keeps pulling them back together, right? Like Chinese AI developers, they love working with American AI chips. American robotics developers love using Chinese robots to test out their software. So we actually might see more of that going forward.
Yeah, our shared language seems to be code. Kyle Chan, thank you so much for your analysis. And turning now to the future of warfare, there are these new videos out of Lebanon showing the evolution of attack drones there. It looks like Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed military or militia group, appear to be taking a page out of Ukraine's drone playbook with those drones that are connected and controlled by fiber optic cables. Apparently, they are much harder to jam. Matt Bradley gives us a look into the deadly technology and how Israel is trying to fight against it.
It was a vulnerable moment for Israeli troops in southern Lebanon, loading wounded soldiers onto a waiting chopper. In this video, shot by an IDF soldier and verified by NBC News, a Hezbollah drone is seen sneaking past Israeli air defenses. Soldiers try to shoot it out of the sky, but it lands just yards away and explodes. Hezbollah recorded its own drone's eye view, releasing this video on social media showing how easily it was able to reach Israeli troops. No one was killed or wounded in this attack, but according to the IDF, this same type of drone, guided by a fiber optic cable, has killed multiple Israeli soldiers in Lebanon, where Israel is fighting Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militant group the United States has designated as terrorists. Over the past few months, this low-tech drone has become one of Hezbollah's most effective weapons against Israel's high-tech army. Despite the month-long ceasefire between the two countries, hundreds of Lebanese have been killed as Israeli bombardments continue. Lebanon has banned Hezbollah's military activities, but the group's drones have even crossed the border, recently slamming into one of Israel's Iron Dome air defenses, and on Sunday killing an Israeli soldier. The IDF has publicly acknowledged the challenge and said they're trying to figure out how to fight it. They've enlisted Ruby Liani at Extend, an Israeli defense contractor.
So basically, we have here a fiber optic spool, all right? That you have a really, really thin fiber optic cable that connect to it, and in the end of it, it will connect to your ground control system.
Because the drones don't need radio waves or Wi-Fi signals to guide them, the Israelis can't easily detect or block them. The advanced drone tactics are an import, as the world watches Ukrainians and Russians fight with fiber optic cable drones, something we've covered.
Some cables stretching over 20 miles long, allowing drones to sneak up undetected.
They've become so common there that battlefields are draped with their willowy cables. Still, no one can quite figure out how to effectively stop the fiber optic drones. Nets are one option, like covering armored vehicles with a canopy, or using other drones that spray nets to snare them in midair.
In the right moment, this one pop out, and there is like a fishing net, let's say, like 5 by 5 meters, that spreading and go to the target, and just catching it, and the threat drone is falling down.
Another reason for the drone's success, they're cheap and readily available.
So here on the internet, these deadly fiber optic drones are treated like toys. I can order one for a couple $100 to any address in Lebanon.
Ali Jazini is a military analyst in southern Lebanon who studies Hezbollah's strategy.
All of these parts can be salvaged, let's say, from the common market. I would compare it, it's like a kitchen knife that can be used, by anyone else to other purposes. It's not about the weapon itself. It's also the easiness and the cheapness in which such drones can be measured.
Israeli officials have publicly said the ceasefire exists in name only, as both sides continue to fight on, fueled by weapons that can be ordered with a click. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Fascinating reporting. Matt Bradley, thank you so much. Still to come, beating long lines with a very meta approach, a whole website dedicated to tracking lines at popular spots, but it's drawing some mixed reactions we're going to explain. But first, you got to see this. An accident literally left vehicles hanging in an intersection. That's a motorcycle crash in Vancouver that turned into a very bizarre scene when that bike went airborne and was left dangling in a traffic light. Officials say the rider had some serious injuries, but luckily survived the crash. But investigators are still trying to figure out how the motorcycle got stuck up there. We'll be right back. $250 that you could just order it on Amazon and it just comes on an Amazon-like service, not Amazon in Lebanon. But yeah, that is pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff. Let's see. Mac Dizzy, yep, totally right. They are, and also we are, making those unmanned submarines, fighter jets, all that stuff. Kala Lily, hello, how's it going? Oh, Nala, thank you so much. You don't have to do that, just watch. Yep, go ahead. What? But isn't this break 3 minutes? Why is it 3 minutes if we're heavy? Okay. All right. I will try to keep it to 2 minutes on space. 2 minutes for the crosstalk or 2 minutes including the intro?
90 back.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are going to be stuck with me after the show, and I'm going to probably talk your ear off about how wonderful this all is. Actually, a little disappointment today. I'm not going to lie. Like this Blue Moon lander, or Blue Origin,
1 minute.
a little disappointing. Didn't get to see everything that we wanted to see, and they're still working on the design. Is that what happened, Monkey Beast? I was trying to figure that out. Jay Place, when I go to New York, I will do that. I'm going to take you guys on a very cool tour. William, no camping tomorrow. My wife is sick of camping. Let's see. My mug is over here. Thanks for asking. All right, we got to get to it. I'm going to try to do this very quickly so I can get as much astronaut time as humanly possible. Yes, that has already happened, Lobato Cat. Okay. Here it is. The blue moon.
20. So you're going to here to
Yep.
Windows walk.
Yep.
Great. Ten. Four, three.
Hey, welcome back. And today we are getting our first look at what the next generation lunar lander could look like, at least according to Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. And Houston, here it is. This is a mop-up of what it could look like. Well, actually, this is just what the astronaut part might look like, with the caveat that this could still change before launch. Lots of caveats here, lots of question marks still for a mission that is supposed to be a little more than a year away. Fingers crossed. But remember, this is all part of a mid-mission pivot to start building those bases on the moon. And whenever that happens, HLS, or Human Landing Systems, those are going to be key. And as of now, it's either going to be this medium-sized version right here, the Blue Moon lander. We think this is what it's going to look like. Or this massive version from SpaceX, or maybe even both of them. And this is what Artemis 3 is going to be all about, getting these things up into space, testing them out before putting them down on the moon. Well, guess what? Tonight we have Robert Hoot Gibson. He's a 5-time NASA astronaut, legendary commander, author of Space Ace. He joins us now. Great to see you, Hoot. Have you had a chance to check out some of the floor plans for either the HLS, the Blue Moon one, or the SpaceX one? And what do you think of the design so far?
I think they both are looking great, and of course the Blue Origin one is a little farther along the line of development, and so there's a little more data on it. It looks very good. The SpaceX vehicle, we know that SpaceX does wonderful things and great things, so I think we're in a good position with with either or both of these HLS landers.
How critical is this year going to be for the New Glenn rocket and SpaceX, for that matter?
Well, this is going to be very critical because we're on an abbreviated timeline. We need to check out the lander in orbit, similar to what we did on Apollo 9, where we will do rendezvous with it and check it out, make sure it all works properly, and then of course that's leading into 2028 to actually send Americans back to land on the moon. So yeah, it's a critical year for both systems, both SpaceX and Blue Origin.
And finally, really fast, this is a question I've been dying to ask you because I'm hoping for a very biased opinion given your background, but there are still many out here that consider the shuttle and the beloved space plane to be the pinnacle of spacecraft, at least until maybe these HLSs actually see humans behind the controls. Do you think that once we figure out the scaling and all of this next-gen rocketry, maybe we'll see a return to space planes instead of the old-school capsules, at least when it comes to getting back down onto Earth's surface?
As you might imagine, I loved the shuttle, and I got to fly it 5 times. It was a wonderful way to operate. Now, it was designed to be a cargo carrier, a delivery truck to low Earth orbit. And of course, now we're moving on to an even more exciting realm.
You heard it from Hoot, Hoot Gibson. Thank you so very much for joining us. And turning now to that very human experience, no one likes waiting in lines, right? But what if there was an app that you could check that would show you how long the line is in real time? Well, if you're in New York City, you are in luck, unless you were worried about being filmed without ever knowing it. Here's a look at something called Damn Lines.
Standing in line is such a New York pastime that even got its own music video on SNL.
Wait in a big dumb line.
And on social media, the complaint line is always on hold.
Tell me why the lines are insane in New York City.
These lines are out the door, wrapped around the block, circling the block, like almost lapping themselves.
Enter a software engineer at X taking action to try to do something about those damn lines, launching this website and tracking in real time how long those lines can get outside popular restaurants in New York City, complete with the current wait time, suggestions for best time to visit, time lapses from the past, and even some mathematical equations. It's the brainchild of Lucas Gordon, who is paying tenants across New York to install internet-connected cameras outside of their unit and filming 1 hour before the business opens till 1 hour after it closes, a move that comes as a surprise to the people in line we talked to.
I did not know I was being filmed.
Oh, I did not know I was being filmed, standing in line on the sidewalk.
I did not know I was being filmed.
I definitely feel like it's an invasion of my privacy.
The website's privacy page promises no facial recognition and no individual tracking, while also acknowledging that line counts, aggregated statistics, snapshots, and time-lapse exports are retained indefinitely. NBC News reached out to Gordon and didn't hear back, but because all this happens on a public street in New York City, it's legal. And some do seem to appreciate any help in scoring a seat at a hot spot more quickly.
You're helping people out. You're letting them know how long the line is, because we had no idea whenever we showed up.
If I knew that I was going to have to stand in a line, I would check that. I would check the website for sure.
I would probably try and find the camera online to see how long the line was, to know whether or not it was worth going down to check it out.
But for others, concerns about privacy and fears it's a slippery slope.
It would definitely deter me from visiting the restaurant in the future, knowing I was being filmed.
And whether or not damn lines will be a deciding factor for your next New York meal, just something else to think about the next time you're standing around waiting your turn. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now. Ooh, we're 30 seconds late. Eee. Top Story's going to not be happy about that. Just kidding. I don't know what happens, actually, when we go that late. That was a late show. And now I think we gotta fix something. I don't know if you guys noticed, there was a mess up on one of the videos. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna do a pickup, and hopefully it goes pretty well. Yeah, that would be a good idea, Kate. No breaking news today. Yes, that is a great idea too. The 405 and the 101 is my least favorite place on planet Earth. Whoever designed the conjunction between the 405 and the 101, like, I would like a word, please.
Perfect.
Like a few words, actually. All right. We're ready when you guys are. So chat, if you guys are wondering what's happening, we had a little bit of a problem with some of the video playback earlier. So what we're doing right now is we're reshooting headlines. Then they will Tetris drop that into the show. Because not only does our show air just now, it also airs at 8 o'clock, so in 2 hours, 8 o'clock West Coast time. So on that pass, if you guys are watching it on your television, it'll be flawless. Other than the fact that I said NVIDIA instead of NVIDIA. What a dummy. How's it looking? Okay.
5, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some other headlines we are watching tonight. Police say 2 people were killed when their plane crashed into an Ohio home late this afternoon. The house burst into flames, but no one inside that home was hurt. The FAA and the NTSB are investigating. And a woman in Michigan says she fought off a masked intruder who tried breaking into her house. Her doorbell camera shows someone trying to get inside. She says she went outside to see what her dog was barking at, and that's when he grabbed her by the neck as she called 911. The suspect did manage to get away. Police are now looking for him. And there's this new video of a plane crash survivors being rescued from the coast of Florida. 11 survivors spent more than 5 hours in the Atlantic Ocean before they were rescued by the Coast Guard. Officials say their plane crashed Tuesday from engine failure, and the FAA is also investigating that one. And the Supreme Court has decided that you can still get the abortion pill by mail for now. The ruling keeps mifepristone available while a lower court case in Louisiana is heard. That lawsuit is against the FAA or FDA for giving access to the drug by mail in states where abortion is banned. Today's ruling is going to keep access in place for telehealth, pharmacies, and mail access while the court battle continues to play out. And Border Patrol Chief Michael Banks announced his resignation during an interview on Fox News this afternoon. This comes during a whole lot of big leadership changes in immigration enforcement. ICE Director Todd Lyons is set to leave at the end of this month. And don't forget that President Trump removed DHS Secretary Kristi Noem back in March.
All right, nice.
That work? All right, perfect. Okay. All right, chat, are you guys still here? What? You guys are still here? Hey. Looks like they joined Top Story fine. They'll probably just cut 30 seconds of ads going back. Dude, how do you... Hi. You're a genius. How do you know all this stuff? You know way more about this stuff than I do. Let's see. This is why you get the big bucks. This is why Hi should get the big bucks. If it was fixing NVIDIA, I was going to fall out laughing. Look, Mac Dizzy, sometimes you just got to take the L. Boom. Or the N. But I got Twitch to keep me in line. Twitch, let's go. Also, Twitch is fired. 9 people on Twitch. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. TikTok, love you.
got a big following on TikTok, so you got to represent, you know. YouTube, love you too. Twitch, I'm a gamer. I used to be a gamer before I had kids, so that's kind of a great place for me. Hi is very smart. Great show, everyone. Thanks, Big Mike, Kevin, Lisa, Robbie, Sean, Spell. Yeah, that's awesome. OCD gets me too. Is there a show tomorrow? Calla Lily, yes, there is. There will be a show tomorrow. On Monday, I think I'm in Seattle doing some stuff that I can't tell you about. But then Tuesday, there will be a show. Wednesday, there will be a show. We try to do this every single night. Yeah, everything definitely stops after kids. When are we going to see all the chats together? Mr. Morales, hopefully soon. Let's see, Jay Place. When there is a fill-in host, there's no stream. Aw, you still want to watch? That fills my soul. But you better like me more than everybody else. Let's see. Stuff you can't tell them about? Yeah, not yet. What else? Don't understand. Always. Oh, Lena, thank you so much. That means the world to us. 405 LX to Sherman Oaks. Yep. All right, with that, I got to go. Steve Patterson. James. Lisa, I don't know if you're watching this. James has a very good idea there. Yeah. Yeah, we do need to do that. We definitely need to do that. But anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and you make these days so fun. Bye, everybody.